Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the American Masterminds podcast. I'm your host tonight, Topher Sheeler. We've got one more Blue Collar Connect spotlight for you here tonight. And honest to goodness, this is one of my favorite people that I have ever had the pleasure of coming across. She is, you'd have to see her in action, but my goodness, she is magnetic. She is honest. She is truly an inspiration to all of us in the group. I have Marinda Lloyd from Salt City Renovations here tonight. And this is a story you are not going to want to miss. You know the drill. We are going to catch a quick word from the sponsor and we will jump right in.
Welcome to the American Masterminds podcast.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the American Mastermind podcast. Rob Adams here, founder of Thanksgiving Heroes, extending a warm invitation to you to be a part of our golf tournament on August 21st at Thanksgiving Point. We're looking for golfers, whole sponsors, breakfast sponsor, the main sponsor, whatever you want to do, whatever level of involvement that you want at the golf tournament. Please come be a part of it. Click on the link below, sign you and your friends up to come and play some golf. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Interesting. So was there any particular reason other than your friend saying, let's kind of do this, that you picked construction?
No, literally it was just, hey, do you want to do this thing? And I'm like, that sounds fun. But that's kind of me. Like if something even sounds a hint of fun, I'm kind of like, sure, let's try it. Again, I'm like, I have nothing to lose. I do it for 2 years. I hate it. Okay, great. I can go back to what I was doing. I could pick a completely different path. Like I had explored in those like 2 or 3 years leading up to like, I'm really done with what I'm doing. I had actually looked into going into tech. My husband's a software engineer and I had started down like, okay, I could go into like user interface or something like that where we're complementary. Tested really well. And I was like, I could do this. And then I was like, doesn't really sound fun. So like my mind was already looking for like, hey, what's the next fun adventure? So I wasn't afraid. Like if this doesn't work, at that point it was, if this doesn't work, I can do something else. But it was like when I transitioned from just doing cabinetry to like making that conscious choice myself to walk away from that business partner, start my own business, become a general contractor, I had this shift inside me, which was burn the boats. Ooh. Okay. Like we're here, burn the boats. We're walking this path. And I needed that mindset. I think I needed that like aha because it was going to be hard. I went from being a woman in a woman's field to being a woman in pretty much a man's field, and a field that I knew, very little about, where I had spent almost 2 decades curating what I knew before. So I was an infant and I needed to have this mindset that was like, we're here. This is the path that we're choosing. And there's no turning back. There might be something on the other side of this, but we're going to follow this path to completion. So burn the ships.
Burn the ships. I like that. That's a great story. And honestly, that's how some of the best businesses are built anyway. When you don't have any other choice and you're like, for better or worse, we're all in. Yeah. So that's really cool. So, okay. So had you ever done any remodels? Had you ever done literally just working on some cabinets?
No.
Okay.
So I had told my husband at one point, I was like, hey, we have this spot in our backyard, and I had tried for like a decade to get anything to grow there. And I'm not a green thumb. So I had my husband help me. I had anybody going to the plant stores, like, let's build a garden. We tried a lot. We poured a lot of money and nothing would grow. And so I said, fine. Let's build a yoga studio. Like build me a little space where I can do yoga and then you guys can play video games, my husband and my sons, because I was like, it's loud. Let's build this like space. And my husband's like, okay, but if we do this, because, we had remodeled our house a little bit, but like I had never done a whole lot. Like I knew how to use a drill and things like that. My husband's like, if we do this, you have to help like every step of the way. And I was like, game on. Let's do it. All the power tools, learning how to pour footings and putting siding up and holding up sheetrock and being like, just screw it in faster. I can't do it. And that's where it started, because I was like, the most I had done at that point was like decorating and like little things. And we built this thing and I was like, that was awesome. When do we get to do it again? Oh. And so it kind of was like between that and then my brother-in-law, he was in construction for a long time and he worked for a really big company here, and they would go all over this country restoring like really old buildings. Like if you want to find a true craftsman, that's my brother-in-law. And he's still passionate about it to this day. So between my husband putting a power tool in my hand and my brother-in-law having this like deep passion for just doing things the right way and all the way down to like little tiny details, I was like, okay, like there's something beautiful in construction. It's not just hammers and nails, it's craftsmanship. And, you know, all the detail that go into it, you know, what color are we doing? What's the flooring? What's the wall? Like, I was like, this is actually kind of exciting to me because it's this balance of like masculine and feminine. We're doing something beautiful, but like with a hammer.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where it started. He put a power tool in my hand, and so it's his fault I'm here.
Oh, doggone him. That's really cool. So, okay. So we're building our first yoga studio.
Which is now the office, because then COVID, you know, a few years later, COVID hits, and now my husband's working from home and I'm working from home. So now it's an office. Yoga never, ever happened in that place, but
I feel like that's, it happens to a lot of yoga studios, if we're being honest.
Yes.
That's really cool. Okay. So then we get building, and then you make the decision that this is what you're going to want to do. I would have to venture that there was a massive learning curve from getting your first job, how we're going to do this, what we're going to do, who we're going to use to do what. Why don't you walk us through that first job?
Well, it helped that my friend who wanted to be my business partner had been working in cabinetry for a while. So he had a foundation, and I jokingly say he brought the foundation and I brought the money. I funded the company to get it going, and his job was to teach me how to lay out kitchens. And then I was like, any class I could take, because he had like very foundational knowledge, which was great. But you know me, it needs to be better than foundational. So any class I could take, any, you know, National Kitchen and Bath Association, like anything I could find that like, okay, how do I increase my trade? And then, okay, but then how do cabinets work with countertops? And then I was putting all these pieces together because I'm like, you know, for him, it was just like, we throw the cabinets in, like, that's it. Maybe we touch countertop. There wasn't a whole lot of like pulling the whole space together. And I realized pretty quickly that bothered me because it was hard to see this one space, and then the rest of the house didn't seem to fit. And you don't have to remodel your whole house to make the whole house feel cohesive. And again, not bashing men, but like, I think men are just like, problem was new cabinets, put new cabinets in. And the female brain's like, but can we make it all fit? And so, you know, he taught me the basics. And then I was just like, this is fun. And then I talked to clients and they're like, I want to do this. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. And we're like building these ideas. And then like, they'd take it to the contractor, and the contractor would be like, can't be done. And really, I think it was just, they didn't want to do it, or they didn't easily know how to do it together, to put it together. And I'd be like, no, here's how we want to do it. Like, we had one closet who's like a client who wanted to have a hidden door wall, which would be her door-to-door closet. And I was like, great, this is how we can do it. Like, I laid it all out, and the contractor's like, can't be done. Too much work. Cost you too much money. And the client was a little disappointed. And I was like, but it can be done. I've built it in my head. I know functionally this is going to work. Like, maybe there might be a few little things we need to tweak, but the idea is solid. And I got tired of bumping up against that. And I was like, okay, I want to take the next step. I want to become a contractor. So I went to my business partner and I said, hey, here's the thing. I want to become a general contractor. Of course, me being me, I was like, I'll stick it out with you, right? Like, we were having some, struggles. Partnerships are hard. And I was like, but maybe this will fix it. And I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. And he was like, hey, I don't want to be in business with you anymore. And that was hard. Like, I literally remember we were in a client's house, and I said, do you even want to be in business with me anymore? And he goes, I can make more money without you. And I was sitting on a client's bathroom floor, and I just started crying. And I was like, I need a minute. And I went out to my truck on a construction site, ugly crying. I was like, I cannot believe those words were just said, because I was all in. Even with all the struggles we were having, I only know how to do things, which is all in. And then to find out that he was like, yeah, I'm basically done. I could do this better without you. Like, that hurt, especially not throwing him under the bus. But I mean, I financed this. I was closing way more deals than him. Like, I was carrying a lot. Yeah. So to get that like feedback hurt. But I'm also a quick learner. So put in a phone call to my attorney. I said, okay, how do I get out of this? And he's like, what do you want? And I said, nothing. I've started businesses before. This is not my first rodeo. I don't want the name because the name meant something to him. Didn't mean anything to me. I said, I don't want anything except for maybe like half of the cash that's sitting in the account. Like, I don't want the business evaluated. I don't want the client list. I can start over. I'm not afraid of this. I just need to be out like as soon as possible. I don't want to drag this out. If he doesn't want to be in this relationship, neither do I. And then I can go pursue becoming a general contractor. And that's how it went down. It literally, I was just like, here's all the paperwork. I'm done. I'll help you wrap up this last job. But here's the expectation. And oddly enough, he said, okay, it's going to take me, it's going to take me a minute to get you the money. And I was like, yeah, I'll never see that money. Didn't matter. At that point, it didn't matter. I just needed to be out doing my own thing. And I told him, I said, if we have any hope of still being friends at the end of this, like, we have to walk away now. And we didn't talk for like 6 months. Wow. I was like, okay, that's the end. We had been friends for like 2 decades. Okay. So like, he was dating a girl at the time and I didn't like her and she didn't like me. And I think that's where this notion that he could do better without me came from. And as soon as they broke up, I got a phone call.
Oh, weird.
Hey, let's go get coffee. And I was like, okay. So I'm thinking we're just going to catch up. Still not. Shows up with my check. And I was like, yeah, wow, didn't expect that. And he told me, he's kind of still just passively doing kitchens and he was, choosing a different career path. He was going to try and step out of construction. He'll do a kitchen here and there for a friend, but that's it. And I was like, that's not what I expected, especially coming from the guy who said, I can do better without you. Yeah. And he's like, honestly, you're doing way better than I thought you would be doing. And I said, and I'm way happier. So like, again, nothing against him. He's a fine person. We're definitely not as close as we were prior to all this. So I don't think I would ever go into business with a friend again, just because I value friendship. Mm-hmm. Right. And that was hard to lose that friendship, but also God has given me like so many new friends that I'm like, okay, if this was the path you were taking me on, I could let that go for all of this.
Well, and to be perfectly fair, I'm a big guy in the divine intervention of things. Sometimes people, it's not meant to be a permanent thing, but if he hadn't been there, maybe you wouldn't have been where you're at today.
100%. He got me into here. For that, I will always be grateful. And we are not angry at each other to this day. We're not as close as we were, but at least from my end, there's no animosity. And when we do periodically get together, I don't feel it. So for that, I'm grateful because I did have a partnership in the white collar that did not end this way. I fought so hard to get us on the same page for we're talking 6 to 8 years. I fought. Let's just get on the same page. We can do this. Like, I just want to make life good for you. And I fought and fought and fought and fought. And then when it ended explosively. We never talked again. And it was bad, like poisoning people against you, things like it was bad. And it broke my heart because I wanted nothing more. This had someone who had been what I thought one of my closest friends for 20 years.
Oh my goodness.
And we just never talked again. And in the end, she was saying things like, I never really liked you. You're a terrible person. And things, it broke my heart. I thought she was the closest friend I had ever had. And then all of a sudden, like, the rose-colored glasses come off and I'm like, oh my gosh, I see all the signs I missed. So when I was bumping up against a similar situation, I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to fight for years to hope we get on the same page. And I was like, I have no control over if we're friends after this. That's outside of my hands, but I'm not fighting for 5 years to still have the same outlet or outcome. So I was like, I'm out. So the fact that we still once every 6 months exchange a text, that's a win for me. But he got me into this. We had been friends for a long time. And I think that friendships, they always have this like fizzling point. And you can't control that. I think it's just like kind of what it is. And some friendships last decades and some last months. And I just had to realize, I was like, I can either focus on how it went wrong, or I can focus on, we were great friends for a long time. He got me into this new field that I'm in love with. And I don't think he's a bad person. I don't. I think people act in their own self-interest, and that doesn't make them bad. He wasn't trying to be, I don't believe he was trying to be a bad person. I wasn't trying to be a bad person. But ultimately, I do believe that like I needed that push. Yeah. Like, you're supposed to go do this other thing and you can't do it in this space. you have to be over here. And that's the burn the ship moment, right?
Yeah.
Which was, okay, if I'm going to do this and this is all me, like, okay, I'm all in. And I needed that mentality because there were lots of times tears. I don't think I can do this. What if I'm not cut out for it? I'm an honest person and this is kind of a crooked trade, and tears. And it was just like, but you burn the ships. You made this agreement with yourself that whether it was easy or was hard, whether it was fun or it sucked, like, you're going to push through to whatever this completion looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And that moment happened, walking away from that. So again, not mad about it. It needed to happen. Got me here. I'm here. If I had to go through, like, I look back my whole life, I'm like, if I had to go through all of that to get to here, I can see why it would needed to happen.
I think those kind of stories, and especially the season that I'm in right now, the divine intervention, and it's all one big story, right? I'm sure he has a totally different kind of perspective on what happened and everything else. But it is kind of crazy when you go through this, and it's really hard to see stuff in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you look back, and sometimes it could be 3 months down the road, and you're like, oh, I wouldn't be here if not for everything that has happened so far.
Mm-hmm.
And it is kind of cool how that stuff works out.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. So, okay, so we get back, ships are burnt.
Yeah.
Right.
Ships are burnt.
And we're hunting for our first job. What was the first thing that came on where you were by yourself? And how did that go?
I did work for a couple of contractors that I had met as a sub, where they would say, oh, here, you can kind of get your feet wet as a GC, so to speak, and take on like this project for us. But you kind of have us as backup. And I thought, oh, this is great mentoring. And it wasn't. I learned how to not be a contractor because they were doing and operating in business in a way I knew I couldn't do and operate. And so I'm grateful for that. Again, like, I got to see firsthand, I'm like, this is why people don't like contractors. Mm-hmm. They are shady. They are lying to you. And they're trying to teach me how to do the same thing. And those were some of those tears. I can't lie. I know who I am. I remember someone saying once, well, if you get like bad reviews or people are mad at you, just like shut your business down and start a new business name. And I'm like, okay, but I had the same business name for almost 2 decades. Like, my name means something. So that wasn't an option for me. So I had to like kind of step back and say, okay, who am I? How am I running my company? And I had to cut off those people and just like, again, now I'm alone on the island that I've burnt the ships. Best thing that could happen,
Mm-hmm.
because I
Turned into your superpower.
I had to figure it out, and I got to figure it out, and I got to refine my systems, and I got to be scared, and I got to admit to clients, hey, I haven't done this before. I'm willing to try. I'm willing to find someone who has to help me do it. And honestly, I found like being honest with clients helped a lot, right? Like, instead of just being like, oh yeah, I've totally like built an ADU. Like, I've poured concrete all the time. Like, no, I was like, I've never poured concrete, but I know somebody who has. And I just had to approach it from that standpoint and take on the jobs that were just a stretch above where I was. And I remember the first like multi-space job, because I was doing just kitchens or just bathrooms. And the first multi-space was like 4 bathrooms and like railings. It was like a whole 3-story house, but we were just doing the top 2 stories. And it was a big project. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm doing it. And it was good. It was those moments of like, okay, pull from all your inspiration and find people. And a lot of it did feel kind of lonely, but at least it was being done my way. It was being done ethically. It was being done right. And that's when I kind of like adopted that saying of like, I want to change the narrative in construction. Right now, everybody will tell you a horror story about a contractor. And my goal is like, by the time I'm done with this field, I want people to tell like their great experience with a contractor. I want them to say like, their numbers were clear from the beginning, and they, took ownership when something didn't go right, and they were easy to work with, and communication was great. Like, all the things that people hate about contractors. I'm like, maybe I can just like slowly turn that narrative. And then I started finding other people in construction who had that same or similar goal, which is like, we want to do it right. We want people to trust the trades that are coming into their home. And I was like, oh, I'm not the only one.
I think that's cool. I think, that one, I want to say it's very admirable. Like because you do it all the time. I see in the masterminds and different things, your ability to take on something that is bigger and scarier than you've ever done before. It's really cool to sit back and watch. If I can lend a compliment here, in watching you in several of these, like, you're somebody that I would want my little girl to hang out with. Okay. Because I appreciate the mindset. I appreciate going after it, doing scary things. It is very, very admirable to watch you work. And I think it's kind of cool when you don't know what you're doing and you're the first one to say, I don't know what I'm doing here. Come help me. And then, part two of that is it is general contracting. There's mindset coaches and whatnot. Try to figure out what you're good at and do that. And if you don't know how to do something, go find somebody to go do it. And general contracting is very much akin to that. You don't have to necessarily know everything. You might need to know who is the guy to come in and or girl to come in and do it. But speak a little about that. You use a lot of and we'll get to Blue Collar Connect in just a second, but speak to it about how do you actually, it's who, not what you know. You know what I'm saying?
So that saying about Henry Ford, who's like, well, I might not know the answer, but I have the guy who does. And the way I view it is that, my job is to have the right people at the table, but I can only know that they're the right people if I know what it's supposed to be like. So I might not be the best tiler, but I know what a good tile job is supposed to look like, what it's not supposed to look like, and I'm not afraid to call it out. I'm not going to go into the home where the tile's wonky and tell the homeowner, no, it looks fine. I'm going to say, yeah, that looks like crap. We're going to fix it. That's my job as the contractor, is to protect their investment. And I can only do that when I know what it's supposed to look like. When I know that this is the proper waterproofing process, and I know how much is enough self-leveling on a floor. And I have to know those things. Yes, I have to have the best people to make it happen at the table, but how do I know who those people are if I don't know what it's supposed to look like, if I don't know what the process is supposed to look like? And a big thing for us is, I don't care if you are the best guy at, painting. I don't care if you're like the best in the state. If your communication sucks, that makes my job and Valerie's job harder. You won't be on our team, because communication is important to the homeowner. So if you say you're going to be there between, 8 and 10 and you don't show up until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that's bad communication. Mm-hmm. And now I have a homeowner who's waited all day for you. So for me, it's the people at the table are going to be good at what they do, but they're also going to be good at what I need them to do, which is communication, clear expectations. Don't fight me when I tell you, hey, this doesn't look the way that I expect it to look. I need you to come and fix it. We had a sub on a job. He does like the best drywall, right? And he had just finished a repair flood. We did a flood cut at a house, and he had just repaired it and went in there, and the homeowner and I are kind of looking because you can kind of see a line. And I was like, well, I don't know if it's because the paint's wet or what. And I said, let's let it dry. And I came back, and I think she was waiting for me to just tell her it looked okay. And I was like, no, I still see that line. And she's like, oh, good. And I was like, yeah. So I got on the phone. I was like, hey, I can still see the line. I need you to come and fix it. She's like, because we're like testing the waters for her to prove that we're worth it on this small job. And then we're going to do this whole home remodel for her. And she told me after that, she's like, I hate seeing patch lines in drywall. And the fact that you didn't try to tell me that it looked good, that you made the call and we're like, no, we're going to get this fixed. She's like, now I can trust you doing the rest of my house. Because people have that horror story. And so again, going back to the table, I need to know that the people I've put at the table that I'm trusting to go into someone's house, they're good at their job. They're good at communication. And another big one, I'm a girl, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of girls will hire me because they're like, they don't want the creepy guys. And they figure they got to pass the vibe check getting through me to get to them. And I take that seriously. Mm-hmm. If you want to get kicked off my job, again, I don't care if you're the best, be inappropriate or make one of my clients feel uncomfortable, and you're going to be off my jobs. Because that is a sacred gift I've been given, is these women coming and saying, hey, this is vulnerable to have a bunch of dudes in my house. And so it is highly curated who gets to sit at that table. And I'm glad that I get to do that. I'm glad that I get to say, okay, part of my job is not just knowing the right people, but knowing the right people on all different aspects of what makes a good business owner, tradesperson, someone who communicates with me, gets the job done right. Someone who views the end result, like I always say, like signing my name at the end of the job, like that's me. I need all of the people who work with me who equally are excited and proud to sign their name on that job as well. That's how I know a job's going to end well. When I have a sub, I did have a sub one time, and he did the thing you're not supposed to do. He subbed out his sub. He was hired and he subbed it out, and it was not good. And his response was, I don't have enough profit in this job to really care. And I was like, oh, I just learned so much about you right now. And I said, well, I don't have any profit in this job now because I have to fix this, and I still get to care. I get to. I don't have to. No one's holding me. I'm holding me. I get to because I've made a promise to a homeowner to deliver a result. And that's when I was like, okay, I think we're done. I don't even want you to try and fix it. I'll have someone else do it. You can exit stage left. and those are the clear lines I have, right? Is when I came in, I said, I want to change the face of construction. I want to change people's expectation of working with tradespeople. I can't take that lightly. That means they need to feel comfortable talking to me. They need to know that the job's going to be delivered to the expectation that they're wanting. For some people, they'll only remodel once in their life, right? And it's always an investment. I don't care who you are, whether it's pocket change to do a kitchen remodel or it's saving for 20 years, it's still an investment. And I handle each job like it's my mom's house, right? I did get the joy of doing my mom's house, which was like, talk about the highlight of your career, even though it wasn't it was in a 10 million square foot house or anything, but it was my mom's kitchen. And my mom she never had a new kitchen. She's never even had stone countertops. And how that was such like the coolest thing to be able to do. And she, to this day, she's like, I love my kitchen. I'm like, yeah, me too. But that's how I want I'm like, how would I want my mom to be treated? Would I want my mom to have a trade say, no, the wall's not, the paint's not weird. You're just seeing things. Or would I want the tradesman to be like, I see what you're saying. Let's get it fixed.
I love what you're saying. What I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but how somebody swings the hammer, which is something that guys would care about, right? And that matters to us. I haven't heard you mention any of that. It's about actually caring about what your customers want, providing the experience for them, and basically bringing customer service to an industry that, well, frankly, between them and lawyers, have a terrible reputation of calling people back, being in communication, doing what you're saying you're going to do, and stuff like that. Is that really the secret sauce to Salt City Renovations? I
guess I never thought about that. That's how, like I said, that's how I operate. I only know one way to do it, which is all in the best of my ability. And it's secondary, right? There's probably hop on Facebook and I could find 100 people who could tell me they can sheetrock a house. That's cool. But out of that 100, how many can do it while being responsive to me, respectful of my clients, doing a good job, licensed, insured, no background that would make me scary? Then all of a sudden that 100 people starts to dwindle down to maybe 2 or 3 people. And then that's when you realize those people, they deserve to be on a team where they're valued, right? Because they have probably also worked with contractors who don't care that they're great at communication and don't care that they're take pride in it. They're just like, just do it. So I'm sure it works both ways, because I remember I was a sub. I worked for the contractor, and I knew there were contractors. I'm like, I love working for them because they value what I'm bringing to the project. And then there were contractors who were like, just get in and do your job. I want the cheapest thing in there. There were a lot of contractors who would tell clients, to this day, they're like, oh, you're getting a custom kitchen right now. Heads up to homeowners. When someone says you're getting a semi-custom kitchen, that's fancy for saying you're getting RTA, because they call it semi-custom because it's custom to you.
Oh, interesting.
But they're pricing you at a semi-custom price. It's still RTA. They're just calling it semi-custom so they can charge you.
Just for the listeners out there, what is RTA?
Ready to assemble, like a box cabinet that comes flat pack and you put it together. There's nothing wrong with those cabinets. That's not what I'm saying. But there's a difference between the cabinet you buy at, can I say Home Depot? Okay, the cabinet you buy at Home Depot and the custom cabinet that's built at my shop. There's a dramatic difference. Custom is knowing exactly what wood grain's going. The door style is up to you. The finish, the stain, the hinges, the interior, the exterior, down to 1/8 of an inch. That's custom. This is standard sizes that they configure to fit in your kitchen. Nothing wrong with it, but it's that shady side of construction. you're getting a custom kitchen. I remember working for a contractor, and he had me come in because the homeowner had called in an attorney and was reporting him to Doppel. And of course, I didn't know this. I just was supplying cabinets, and he's like, well, you have to come and be present. So we get up there, and he's like, this isn't what I was promised, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I itemize, right? Like, I tell you what you're going to get. You get a layout. We sign off on the layout. We go over what all the cabinets are. What he was given was a one line item that says custom kitchen cabinets and a price point. That's it. There wasn't even colors, door style, nothing. Custom kitchen cabinet. So it became a he said, she said, back and forth, right? Like, he's like, well, this is what we agreed on a layout, but there was no documentation for it. He was frustrated, and the cabinets that went in, P.S., were not custom. I know, because I supplied them. I didn't know that he was claiming they were, but he did. And that's when I was just like, oh, okay, like, this is why people don't like contractors. And so that's why, like, this is the expectation I've set, all the way down to, are we doing MDF baseboards or wood baseboards? And I've had homeowners who are like, I didn't know that there were options. Well, one costs more, one looks nicer if you ask me, but you always have choice.
Right. Huh. It's very interesting, because I personally haven't had any reason to do any remodels. But what I have heard from your customers is, like, the level of communication it's not just texting them back and showing up, but your bids and whatnot are very detailed. The customer knows exactly what's coming. It's kind of agreed upon before. You go the extra mile in putting your bids together. Is that pretty accurate?
I want you to know exactly what you're getting. So you come to me and you're like, I want a walnut door. I'm like, okay, great. What stain do you want? Because you can have natural walnut. We can warm it up. We can cool it down. And they're like, I had no idea. So I'm like, great, here's some samples. And then they go, I want this one. And we sign the back of it with their names. We're like, this is the one that Susie and John have picked. And then we say, okay, this is the floor. Like, it is very detailed. So, when you read through what everybody else gives you a 1 or 2 page estimate, mine's like 15 pages, I'm sorry, but it's very clear. You know what you're getting. You know what your allotments are. If I'm saying, okay, we're putting in a 14-foot island in your kitchen, that I've allotted a reasonable amount for countertops, right? There was one job I was bidding on recently. Hopefully we get it. And we were going through the bid, and we got to countertops. And I had allotted, this is the 14-foot kitchen. I had allotted $25,000. And I said, that will get you a good stone. I mean, it's not going to get you, like, if you put quartzite through everything, but this will get you a really great stone. We can do all the countertops, run it up the back, right? Like, there's a lot of whole perimeter. There's a lot of countertops going in here. She goes, oh my gosh, that's so high. And I said, okay. And she goes, the other bid, she's like, I'll just tell you, they allotted us $4,000 for countertops. And I said, I'm not even sure you could put that, white speckle from
plywood,
right? White speckle Chick-fil-A quartz in your kitchen for $4,000. I know you can't. You have too much countertop. And that's when, it connected for her that homeowners can't just look at the bottom line number, right? Because I'll just let you know, on this bid, my bid was $120,000 for the job. The bid that she had said was $64,000. Okay, so half mine. And I was like, okay, let's go through this, right? Because I'm like, I know how much cabinetry is in your house. At my cost, you have $35,000 in custom cabinetry. It's a lot of cabinetry going in there. We're doing really cool crap. If we get this job, it's going to be amazing. That's her cost, right? I'm not, and I know it's custom. Oddly enough, it turns out she told me who the contractor was. This is one who I used to mentor under. And I know he's one of the ones who say you're getting a custom kitchen and it's RTA. So he says in their custom kitchen. And I was like, oh, I know what that looks like. So I was helping her understand. And that's why I think homeowners need to understand right now, that I want them to understand, so that they aren't just sucked into a situation and then change order. When you're looking at a bid, mine's detailed for a reason. You should be able to look through it and be like, hey, Marinda, I thought we talked about baseboards. I don't see it anywhere on here. You're right. Let's make sure it's on there. Or if I put baseboard, let's say I put on there painting and you're like, let's just touch up paint, right? We're not doing a whole lot. We'll just do it. Okay, then we take that off. So there's no question what's covered, what's not covered. The only reason you should see a change order from me is scope changes, or your material selection changes. And scope can change because of a homeowner's preference or because we find mold. Okay. Those are the only times that we should be talking change orders. What I give you when we start, assuming scope and materials don't change, that's the number you should end with. That's the agreement we should have, because nothing's worse than for a homeowner to think, okay, I'm allotting $120,000 for this remodel, and then change order. And it turns out it ended up being $180,000. Because, a lot of times you've paid that deposit, you've started the working process. How do you back out?
Yeah.
We had another job that we lost. And then the client, or not my client, but they ended up calling me back. They said, hey, just so you know, because it was half my price. They said, hey, just so you know, after we paid our deposit, we started working. The switch that happened for us is they said, oh, that was a labor bid. Here's your materials bid.
Oh.
And what do you do at that point? And they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Right. I know. I had a client one time who was asking questions about something on the remodel, and I walked him through it. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ask questions. He said, it's not your job to know these things. That's my job. If I want to know how to fly a plane, because he's a pilot, that's your job, and I'll come and ask you. But when it comes to construction, that's my job.
Right.
And so I need to do the best to guide you to a realistic number. Because again, I'm trying to change that narrative. And part of that is knowing what you're looking at for your remodel. And if someone's like, well, I really only wanted to pay, $100,000. Okay, well, where do you want to cut back?
Right.
Right? Because I'm not here to make you spend more money than you want, but it just means we have to choose different materials or change the scope so that we both come to the table happy. I don't want to win a bid by lying to you, deliberately underbidding the job, and then being like, oh, that's okay. When you go pick out a stone that's, $10,000 a slab, I'll just be like, oh, shucks, guess it's a change order. I don't want to be that person.
Huh. No, and I would also imagine that actually is going to breed, the jobs are actually going to go smoother. You have it's set from Jump Street. This is what's going on, right? So it kind of serves like a checklist almost to your subs and everybody. This is exactly what we're using. This is going here. This is going there, and so on and so forth.
Go find a 60 or 70-year-old guy who did construction. That's how they used to do it.
Yeah.
This is what you're getting. This is the price unless you choose to change something. That's how they did it. I don't know when things shifted and it became acceptable to play these weird sort of games. And I think that's when this distaste and distrust for construction started. Because, our grandparents, our parents, they lived in a different time, and contractors were highly respected. They were really good, honorable people. We were just talking with Bonnie's dad today. He was a contractor, and we were talking about that. This old guy who did construction for 40 years, and his thought process is the same as mine. They just built them different back then. I don't know how I got it, but I think homeowners deserve that revival of that, of just straightforward. Here's what it's going to cost you. Because I'd rather lose a bid knowing that I told you the honest truth than win a job knowing that I'm planning on $30,000 in change orders that you will not see coming. And what are you going to do? Well,
I just think we're talking about two different eras. The era that you're talking about, that was the handshake era.
Yeah.
Right? That was, if I shook your hand, looked you in the face and said, this is what I'm going to do, that was your name and reputation meant everything.
100%.
And I also, I'm not making excuses.
We didn't have Google reviews back then, right? So it was what people said about you to their neighbor that mattered.
Right. But, there was another, I don't know where this started. There is some inherent flaws with being a general contractor, unless you're so dedicated from Jump Street to make sure that this kind of stuff doesn't happen. I don't know what comes first. In my heart of hearts, I don't believe anybody sets out to be sinister in any kind of way. But, there's a lot of robbing Peter to pay Paul that goes on. And you're trying to balance all these different jobs, and inevitably a sub doesn't do what they're subbing their subs or something along those lines. And then they have to cover for it. So hey, I'm just going to do this one time, or I'm going to take from this job to finish this job, and it'll be okay and then it on and on the cycle goes. And usually, that's what happens. Then GCs become so upside down, and now they're lying and running away from everybody, not answering their phone because everybody's pissed off and chasing them for money or to finish their work.
100%. And then you add on to that, Private wealth wants to throw money at GCs because they know that there's money there. So then now these people they can't balance their books to begin with. And now they're borrowing money to fluff themselves to be able to, and now they're paying another person. I mean, I have a hard line. I ran, my whole other company, Grassroots, never took out a dime of a loan. And I'm like, okay, I can do it in construction. It might mean I move a little bit slower, but I don't want to have to, if I can't grow at this pace and I'm going to be responsible with your money stays in the account, goes to your job. It doesn't go to Peter's job. It goes to Susie's job. And you're right. I think there was just this shift, and I don't think people are sinister, but I think it's so competitive out there right now that they're like, okay, well, I can't win on my charming personality. So I'm going to win by default. I know people are bid shopping right now. Money is top concern. So I'm just going to come in right at that low number so I can secure the bid. I get it. Everybody needs to eat. Everybody needs to feed their family, but who ends up having to eat the consequence of that? That's where I have concern. That's where I look at it and I'm like, I get it. It's competitive out there, but what would it look like if you just were honest with the homeowner? And you said, I remember the first time I sat across from a homeowner and they wanted to do a bump out on their kitchen. And I was like, this would be so cool. And I was like, I've never done this before. And I was so terrified because it was I thought you're supposed to come in there and fake it till you make it. And I was like, I can't, this is too much of an investment. And I told him straight up, I said, I've never done this. I can pull in the people to support me to get it done, or I can give you the name of a GC who has done it. Which do you prefer? And they were great. They didn't end up going forward with it because once we laid everything out, they were like, we're going to hold off. It's a lot more money than we thought. But they were like, we're okay. You were honest with us. You told us straight up, hey, here's where I'm at. It's scary to be that kind of raw honest with somebody. It's scary to walk into a job site and be like, this is wrong and we're going to fix it. I remember we put a closet in a job and it was terrible. And the homeowner she's so sweet. She was like, oh, it's okay. And I was like, no, it's ugly. We're ripping it out. We're going to put a new one in. And her first thought was, how much is that going to cost me? I said, it's not going to cost you anything. My guys didn't put it up to the level that I need it to be at. I can't sign my name on this. This doesn't cost you anything, but I have to pull it out and put a new one in. And she was like, okay. And then we had damaged doors that came with cabinets. Not my shop didn't build them. We ordered them from somebody else and still custom, but they came damaged. And same thing. How much is that going to cost me? But it's not going to cost you anything. And that track record, I can tell her past experience with a contractor has been, that costs on you, that costs on you, that costs on you. And that can happen. You just need to run a cost plus model. Mm-hmm. And then homeowners know it's every expense that I get as a contractor plus a percentage. But you can't do both, right? You're either a flat fee contractor or a cost plus, and there are just too many people who are trying to be in the middle.
Right. Huh. No, I think what you're doing is really cool. And it does show because the people that have worked for you are now raving fans. It may have taken you a little bit to get out of the gate, but I would imagine your referrals are eventually going to eclipse anything else that you're going to do with marketing, just because people truly just like working with you.
I hope so. I like what I do. I want to keep doing this for a long time. And I know it sounds silly, but I get so excited over every job. I told my husband, I'm like, I didn't crave babies because I was taking care of babies. I'm like, this is insurance, so we don't have to remodel our house every 5 years because I get to go love every job I get excited about. And a homeowner who's like, are you really this excited about the cabinets? I'm like, they're beautiful. Aren't you excited? She's like, do you do this all the time? I'm like, yeah. Ask my installers installing the cabinets. I'm like, you ask him. He's like, yeah, she does this on every job. I do. I love what I do. I get excited about the paint when the paint goes on or the hardware. Maybe that someday will dim, but for right now, it's I have the coolest job ever. I get to go shopping for a living, and then I walk away and someone has a really cool house. Does it get better than that?
Well, and if anybody wants an example of what Marinda is talking about, just go in and find her social media and take a look at micro cement posts, because we fell in love with micro cement I think, were we still on the micro cement kick?
I am hardcore on a micro cement kick, and now we're trying to do even cooler things with micro cement. So, I'm working with my guy right now, and he's showing me how he can make it look like stone. So I have the veining, but it's actually micro cement, so it's a lot cheaper. You're not putting a giant slab on a fireplace or something. Yeah, micro cement's cool. Highly recommend anybody who wants to do it. But the real reason I like it is we don't have to demo. Mm. We can assuming what we're putting it over is in good condition, we can, which is one of the reasons why I love it. Because some people are like, I don't want the mess of demoing my bathroom, but it needs a facelift. And
Right.
I'm like, I have the perfect thing for it.
I think it's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. And I would imagine I've seen one job in person and obviously following right along on social media, but it is stunning. It really is. And you wouldn't, your average eye, I know there's people that care about real stone and whatnot, but you wouldn't tell. It's absolutely beautiful.
Again, it just depends what you're going for. Some people want this look and some people want this look. My biggest thing is like, are we putting multiple elements in a space? Because that actually is what's calming to your nervous system. We want an element that feels earthy, and we want, a peaceful space. Even if we have some vibrancy and color, like you want the whole space to walk in and you go, right? And so that's part of my job, like bringing that design background is showing you how to make a space instead of just like pretty, like it's magazine worthy, something you would see in Architectural Digest, but it's in your home.
Right.
Like you don't have to. I always say I'm really good at dupes, right? I love visual comfort, and you probably don't know what that is, but it's a really, really pretty, fancy, expensive lighting. Okay. Like it's amazing, but not everybody can afford $3,000 per sconce.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, probably not.
So I like finding the dupes so that I can say, because I actually had one client one time, she pulled up this job that I did for a client who had a very beautiful budget. So we put all the really pretty things in there, and then she wanted to duplicate. And I said, okay. And we went and found all the dupes that we could find, so she could recreate that at her budget. And still, you look at the space and you're like, this is magazine worthy at a different price point. Like that can happen. You just have to have someone who is excited as you are about making it come true, right? That's the fun of what I get to do is you come to me, this one basement we're doing now, she's like, I want like old Hollywood. And I was like, boom, the whole thing's come together and like we're laying it out. It's going to be so cool. I literally, cabinets just went in on Tuesday. The walls are like this in the main living area where we put the kitchen, this deep green. And so then you have these walnut cabinets with gold accent. And then you go into the bathroom, it's like this burgundy. Think like the red drapes back, old Hollywood. Yeah. It's coming together so cool. Like this is what I get to do for a living. Like why would I do anything else?
Oh my goodness. It's fun to watch your passion on all of these things. It really is. And your projects are stunning. They really are. And it comes through even in the pictures of the space that you're not even in them. It comes through and it's really, really fun to watch. So let me ask you, I told you we were going to come back to blue collar here. So you kind of had, I mean, imagine you had all these modalities and what you were trying to find in subs, what the customer experience that you're trying to bring. How much different was it when you found blue collar and now you have a whole base of people to pick from that are licensed, that are vetted, and quite frankly, some of the best people that I've ever been around?
It was realizing I burned the ship and happened to land on the island with all the really cool people. That's what it was, right? Like I thought I burned the ship and I was alone, and it turns out like I found the island full of all the cool people. And one of the coolest things was just how much everybody really wants to support you, right? I came into it, I'll admit this, right? Like I come in and I'm like, oh, this is cool. There's already 3 GCs in the group. And I'm like, how? And there's a girl GC, like the one thing I thought I had like uniqueness going about me, like, you got one of those. How's this going to work for me? Like, are they going to like me? Do they even care that I exist? And then is it going to be competitive? I'm not competitive, but my experience to this point was other GCs don't like GCs. They don't like competition. And just speaking in that tiny little circle in blue collar of the GCs, I couldn't have written it better if I was trying to write my happy life story, right? Like Karenina is the other female contractor, and she came over, big hug, and was like, she turns to Mark, can I keep her? And I was like, oh, you like me. And then and then I meet Lon, and he's like the best big brother you could ever ask for. And he's like, I can teach you. And then I was handing off all my concrete jobs because I didn't have experience in concrete. And I finally get this phone call from Andrew, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm sending you concrete jobs. He's like, stop doing that. And I was like, but I don't know concrete. And he goes, let me teach you. And at that moment, I was like, this doesn't exist anywhere else. Like, you could just keep taking all my, by the way, he still gets my concrete jobs because I like him. And I'm like, if you do them, then you show up at my job site and we get to hang out. Yeah. So you and Nick show up, and this is great. But he did. He pulled me over, walked me through. We're at a job site this morning doing a pour, and he's walked me through. Do you know what this is? No. Okay, no talking down to me. It's this, and he talks me through it. This doesn't exist that I found outside of this group where someone's like, hey, no shame. Let me walk you through what you don't know. Let me build you up to the next level. Because guess what? There's enough work that we're all going to be super busy. And then you extend past those GCs and into all of the tradesmen, and you're just like, oh my gosh, you all have that same philosophy of like, I'm signing my name on this thing. It means something to do a good job. Like all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's all coming together, that you're like, I'm not alone on an island. I just had to trust that the island I would find, that I would discover, is full of like the coolest people.
Man, beautifully, beautifully put. It is. It's the culture of this. I've never seen anything quite like it. To have these people, and everybody, you're right, everybody wants to help, and we're all doing this together, and there's plenty for all of us. We can work together, and it is kind of fun. Like Joe, even the first time he said, when I heard it, it's collaboration over competition. Your best referral partners are going to be the people that are in your own trade. And it actually is true. And it's really cool to see it come together, because I marvel at the metal guys. Like those guys they really are. And it's funny to me because if you just took a bird's eye view of them, they even look kind of alike. I had my brother, there, and they were all four stacked up right there. And all of them really did look alike. But when you go behind the surface a little, they couldn't be more different if you tried. They're four completely different businesses. Mm-hmm. And so like what your niche is not what Karenina's is.
No.
Not even close.
But we both like pink, which is also the really cool thing about it, right? Because again, the collaboration, she'll call me and be like, which of these lights do you like? Do you like this? And I'll call her and I'll be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Do you have a solution for it? You can't put a price tag on that. And the fact that I know I can call her and she's like genuinely like, I want to help you solve this. When she calls me, I'm in it. I'm like, girl, I want to see you succeed, because you succeeding does not diminish my ability to succeed. And it exists. And it's really cool.
Yeah. No, it really is. It's fun to be in. It's fun to see everybody working together. Even down to like the financial mastermind, like we're working together all the time. And it's so powerful. I feel so blessed that we kind of stumbled into this,
Right? I mean, I think about it and you hear Joe who's like, I just knew I had to do this. And I sometimes sit back and I'm like, did he know the impact it would make in everybody's life? Like, did I don't know that I've ever told him. Like, I literally was bumping up against a wall and being like, I know I burned the ships, but I don't know how much longer I can do this by myself. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's lonely.
Yes.
Right? I'm like, I don't have people that I can just be like, hey, can I just come and talk to you about something? And then, I think I've told you this, but like Mark texts me, I swear, for like 6 months, every Friday, hey, Thursday, hey, we're going to meet on Friday. And it was always like, I can't make it this week. And he was always so gentle. Don't worry. We'll do it. We do it every week. We'll do it every week. And I show up to that first meeting. When we were tiny, we were like, I don't know, like 20 people or something. And I walk in and I'm like, okay, this is different. And I was like, I'm kind of interested, right? Like, but I don't know. And Mark's like, well, you need to come to the launch meeting. So I came to my first Friday meeting, like the 1st of October. And then of course, Joe comes into town at the end of the month. I go to my first launch meeting, and I walked out of the launch meeting. I told Mark, I said, okay, how quickly can we get this done? He's like, how quickly do you want? I said, literally all I need is my husband's okay, because this is a big purchase. Mm-hmm. And while yes, I own the company myself, he is my husband, and we need to talk about this. And he's like, here's the steps to do it. I went home and I told my husband, like, I really want to do this. He's like, that's a lot of money. And I was like, I don't know why, but I'm supposed to be here. Mm-hmm. And he was like, okay, like I'm gonna trust you on this. And I was like, yeah. And so I think it was like a month before I was like, everything got turned in. I had my background check. I did my meetings, and I was like, you're in. And I was like, yes. Like, it was just like, and then all of a sudden, like, you get to know everybody. And that's where it really clicks, because one launch, you get a feel for it. But you do have to build those relationships. You have to get some people, are not Karenina, who's like her
She
wall's
just
down
walks
in 2
in.
seconds and
Yeah.
I love you. Some people have that wall up probably because of bad experiences. So it takes a minute for those walls to come down. But I would say at this point now, like, we have like this kind of like this like little group of us that are just like, I describe it as like all the kids, all the kids who weren't popular in high school, we all found each other.
Yeah.
We like really like each other now. I'm sorry if anybody really was popular in high school. I love you. But like, that's what I feel like. I'm like, it's like the friendship that you wanted in high school, but with the maturity of being an adult, and you didn't know it could be this good. Like, I did not know that I would call Melissa after spending a week with her. And then she was back in Logan. And I'm like, dude, I miss you. When are you going to be down here? And Darren texts me, hey, you coming to this meetup? I haven't seen you in a while. Those are genuine people checking on people.
Yes.
We're not required. Nowhere in our agreement to be in blue collar does it say, hey, check on someone if you haven't seen them in a week.
Or wear your t-shirt or anything like that,
Tell them you missed them when they weren't at it. Like, that's not in there. It's genuine. Just as genuine as it is when on Facebook, when someone's like, hey, I'm looking for a painter. The genuineness that comes through when I'm tagging Olga or Oliver and I'm like, hey, these people are good people. That's one thing that I wish people could understand is I think there's a lot of other groups that are trying to do a similar thing. And for them, it's like this check. And we were just talking in the mastermind this morning. I said, you guys, we are so much more than that and people need to see it. So that's what we're doing, right? It is heartfelt. I am truly shouting these people out. These are people that I would put in my mom's house. These are people that I enjoy seeing, that I know are going to go do a good job. And on the off chance that they don't, I know I can sit across from them and say, hey, we missed the mark. And they're going to say, okay, let's fix it. Just like I would expect that from someone saying, hey, Marinda, you missed the mark here. And I'm going to say, great. That's something that I get to fix for you and fix for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like everybody in this group, there's this level of ownership. And I don't know how like Joe and Mark and manage to just like pinpoint like that person they're going to fit because they're going to take ownership. They're fun. I mean, we're really kind of silly. So you have to have like a little level of like would you remember that color personalities, the yellow, this playful one? You have to have a little bit of that in there. I do wonder though, side note, when Joe's like, everybody needs to take your disc assessment. And I'm like, I'm looking around the room now. I'm like, what is everybody's disc? Like, cause I know what mine is. Like when Joe's like, I'm a high D. And I'm like, yeah, me too. And I'm a high D, high I, which makes sense. I'm really driven, but like you got to throw a cartwheel in there every once in a while or I'm not happy,
right.
So it's kind of fun. I'm like looking around the room and I'm like, we all have to have enough of
I think it should go on the name badges, to be honest with you.
There you go. Except for mine would be like, Marinda, I'm a D. People be like,
what is this? Oh, man. That is, truer words haven't been spoken. Like, honest to goodness. And I view you as one of the ringleaders to the whole thing. Your personality, you're charismatic. You care about others. You genuinely want to see everybody succeed. Really and truly, Marinda, you're a treat to be around. And so thank you for everything that you do for Blue Collar. Thank you for setting the standard in a otherwise, my brother literally last night was like, it's like the mob, like it's a whole different world. And so I really appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you trying to change the culture of everything. As we kind of wind down here, believe it or not, we're at time right now, but maybe one last question. If you, because I genuinely care about my little girl. And again, I would want her to follow you around because I think it would be an absolute inspiration. But if you had one piece of advice, maybe for younger Marinda that was maybe just starting into the general contracting world, or maybe if you can go back even a little further, if you were to give my daughter some advice, what would it be?
Good question. Yeah, because I was thinking like, what would I say to myself? And then I'm like, what would I say to your daughter? Are those the same things? I think what I would say to myself is, it is all going to work out. And it's a good thing to burn the ships. And with your daughter, I would probably say similar to my younger self, as I would say exactly what my mom and my husband have always said. You can do anything you put your mind to. the only person who limits you is you.
Powerful, powerful stuff. Well, Marinda, thank you so much for coming on the show. As always, always a treat anytime that you come around. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen out there, you know the drill. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one.